The Greedy Farmer and the Magic Yam, Part 1. African Moral Folktale. Long ago, in a small village surrounded by green hills and red soil, there lived a farmer named Okoro. He was known all over the land, not for kindness or wisdom, but for his greed. Okoro had many farmlands, goats, and barns filled with yam and corn. Yet, every morning, he would still complain that he didn't have enough. He would say, "If only I had more yams, I would be the richest man in this village. Then everyone would respect me." His neighbors, however, were not as fortunate. Some struggled to feed their families, especially during the dry season, but Okoro never shared. If anyone begged him for food, he would shout, "Go and work for your own. My sweat is not for lazy people." Even his wife, Ngozi, often told him, "My husband, wealth is good, but it is not everything. When a man eats alone, he dies alone too." But Okoro would wave his hand and laugh, "Ngozi, you talk too much. Let me be rich first, then I will think about dying." One hot afternoon, Okoro went to his farm as usual. He worked from sunrise until the sun burned high in the sky. But on that day, something strange happened. As he was digging the ground, his hoe struck something hard. Coat. He looked closer and saw an old clay pot buried under the soil. Curious, he dug it out. The pot was covered in strange carvings and cowrie shells. It looked ancient. Okoro whispered, "What is this doing in my farmland?" He opened the pot carefully, and to his surprise, a bright light flashed out. The ground trembled softly, and suddenly, a small old man appeared in front of him, wearing a raffia hat and holding a wooden staff. Okoro jumped back, terrified. Who are you?" he stammered. The old man smiled gently. "Do not be afraid. I am the spirit of the earth, guardian of this land. You have touched the pot of blessings, which has been buried here for centuries. Tell me, farmer, what do you desire most?" Okoro's eyes widened with excitement. "My desire? I want riches. I want yams, big, fat yams that never finish. I want to be the wealthiest man in the village." The spirit chuckled softly. "You humans are all the same, always hungry for more. But I shall grant you your wish, on one condition." Okoro nodded quickly. Yes, any condition. Just give me wealth." The spirit raised his staff. "Very well. In this soil lies a magic yam. It will grow faster and fatter than any yam you have ever seen. But remember this, you must never harvest it alone, and you must never eat it without sharing with others. If you do, your greed will bring your downfall." Okoro bowed quickly. "Yes, spirit, I understand. Thank you. The spirit nodded, tapped his staff on the ground, and disappeared in a flash of golden dust. Okoro looked down, and there, where the clay pot once was, he saw a small yam sprouting magically from the earth. From that day on, Okoro treated the yam like a king. He watered it every morning, pulled out every single weed around it, and even whispered prayers over its growing leaves. But this was no ordinary yam. Within just a few days, it started growing faster than anything he had ever seen. By the end of the first week, its green vines had snaked across half of his entire farm. The leaves were a brilliant, deep emerald, and the roots grew so thick and strong that they cracked the dry earth around them. Okoro's eyes glinted with a familiar, dangerous sparkle. "Greed," he whispered to himself. If just one yam can grow this big, imagine how rich I'll be when I sell it." His wife, Ngozi, was equally amazed, but her heart was pure. "My husband," she said, her voice filled with awe. "This yam is truly special. We should invite the village elders to see it. This could be a blessing for our entire community." But Okoro's face darkened into a scowl. "No, woman," he snapped. "Nobody must know about this. This yam belongs to me, and me alone. Do you hear me?" Ngozi sighed, a worried look clouding her features. "Okoro, please remember what the old man in your dream said. Don't eat it alone." Okoro just waved his hand dismissively. "Ah, that was just a silly dream. A spirit can't tell me what to do with my own yam." Weeks turned into a month, and the yam just kept growing, and growing, and growing. It became so enormous that Okoro had to build a small fence around it, just to keep curious villagers away. Of course, this only made people talk more. Whispers spread through the village like wildfire. "Have you seen Okoro's farm? There's a yam there as big as a talking drum," one would say. "He must have used powerful magic," another would reply. "Or maybe the gods have finally blessed him." Okoro pretended to be humble whenever someone asked, but inside, his pride burned like a raging fire. He felt powerful, chosen. One night, with the full moon casting a bright, silvery glow over his farm, Okoro couldn't resist any longer. He stood at the edge of his field, staring at the massive, pulsating shape of the yam, its form twisting beneath the soil. "I cannot wait another day," he said to himself, his voice trembling with anticipation. "Tomorrow, I will harvest it. I'll do it alone, and the gods can forgive my selfishness later." The next morning, long before the first rooster crowed, Okoro crept out to the farm, his sharpest hoe slung over his shoulder. The air was unusually cool, and a strange, heavy silence hung over the land. Even the birds were quiet. A greedy smile spread across his face as he declared to the empty fields, "Today, I become the richest man in this village." He raised his hoe and struck the earth once, twice. And then, suddenly, the ground began to shake violently. A deep, terrifying rumble echoed from beneath his feet, and a powerful voice boomed from the depths of the earth. "Okoro, you were warned, yet your greed has no end." Okoro froze, his body paralyzed with fear. The hoe slipped from his trembling hands and clattered to the ground. Before he could even think to run, the soil beneath the giant yam cracked wide open. A blinding, golden light erupted from the chasm, swallowing everything in its path. Okoro let out a final, terrified scream. "No, no!" And then, silence. When the villagers finally arrived later that morning, drawn by the unsettling quiet, they found a scene of complete devastation. Okoro's farm was destroyed, a chaotic mess of upturned soil and broken fences. The gigantic yam had vanished without a trace. And there, in the very center of the ruined field, was Okoro's familiar straw hat, half buried in the dirt. His wife Ngozi cried out his name, her sobs echoing across the empty land, but he was gone. But the story doesn't end there. That very night, as the moon climbed high into the sky, something strange began to happen. In the middle of the desolate farmland, the earth started to shift and move, as if something was stirring back to life deep below. A chilling whisper drifted on the night wind, a voice that sounded both ancient and hungry. "The yam is hungry, and it will eat again." What happened to Okoro? And what is the dark secret behind the magic yam? We Lines find out in Part 2. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell for more incredible African folk tales. You won't want to miss what happens next. Thanks for watching.